Hi guys, Nami Nam here, and welcome to Doodle a Day. Today I'm going to tell you the story about how I started drawing. I've always been a fairly creative person, and I attribute that to my parents being very creative. My mom actually graduated college with a master's degree in art, and so every time when I was little I'd show her something I had drawn. She'd give me, instead of praise, she'd give me pointers on how to make it better. As a kid, I didn't like that, but as an adult, I look back on it and I appreciate it. And my dad was more practically creative. He actually helped me make some of my first cosplay props. So when I was young, I was bound to be creative one way or another. I remember a time before I knew the difference between American cartoons and Japanese anime, I already had a lean towards liking anime because my earliest memory, I was 4 years old and I was sick home from school and I was sitting on the couch with my dad and we were watching Sailor Moon. While at the same time, early mornings before school, I'd wake up early and I'd watch that old 90s X-Men cartoon with my mom. I remember that as a fond memory because I get to tell people, yeah, I watched Sailor Moon with my dad and I watched X-Men with my mom. The gender reversal there really throws people off sometimes. It's great. After that, like most 90s kids, I got into Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Digimon. Everything with an anime art style I just inexplicably liked. It just resonated with me, the style. I mean, at that time there was no Naruto, no Bleach, no whatever else is popular nowadays with these kids. But when I got into early high school, I believe it was, I was a freshman, that's when Inuyasha came out. And that was the first anime I watched where I understood the differential between Japanese anime and American cartoons. And Inuyasha was to me it was really good because so many children's cartoons in the US at that time were directly for children. Kids shows. Inuyasha was more mature, not really, because its target audience is teenagers. And I was absorbed. And that's when I started really drawing my own characters and stuff. I would spend hours refining their look, coming up with their backstory. I lived in the middle of the desert with no stores or anything nearby, so this was the only thing I could do for fun. Even if they were bad by today's standards of original characters, it was enough to get me to draw all the time and practice and get better. And it really helped me get really close with my high school friends, and one of them who would eventually be my spouse. After Inuyasha was when the floodgates for anime really started opening and more people started to get into it and like it because it was more easily to be accessible. It's also when I first started getting online, and it was when I first made my first DeviantArt account. It's an old account too. I think I deleted everything off of it because it was part of my dark point in art, which I'll probably talk about in another video because it's a kind of long story. I actually quit drawing for a short while. Well, I don't want to say short while. Short while, when I say that, I mean a few years. But like I said, we'll talk about that in another video. But Inuyasha really influenced a lot of my art style because I was really interested in the Japanese folklore and everything involved with it. It sort of kind of helped me create this character that you're seeing on screen right now. I based her off of the Shinto god Inari, which I've also named the character Inari. And before you ask, no, she is not an Inuyasha fan character. But I won't lie, when I was at my peak of liking Inuyasha, I did have a fan character. She was a fox named Sakura because, of course, her name was Sakura. And she was Shippo's older sister, who he mysteriously knew nothing about. She was just older than him, and he didn't know that she even existed. And just like Kurama from Yu Yu Hakusho, she had a rose whip, because I thought that was the coolest thing, and Kurama was a fox too, so obviously my fox character had to have a rose whip. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's so cringy thinking back on it, but I was 14. 14-year-old kids don't censor themselves. They don't know how to stop making something. So I get fond memories like that from it. Anyhow, so with Inari, I made her because I had not had a fox character since I was in high school with that fan character. So I wanted to fix that, so to speak. And I wanted to do it right. I wanted to do a bunch of research on the folklore and make it as best as I could. And I got wrapped up in all the lore about Inari, and I decided, well, to heck with it. I'll just make my own representation of Inari. And this is what I came up with. And with my spouse, I came up with a story for her, and we kind of toy with it a little bit. I don't know if anything will come out of it, but one thing I do know for certain is I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to stop creating these characters. I'm not going to stop coming up with storylines. I'm going to keep doing it because I like it. I love it, in fact. It makes me happy to spend time coming up with these plot devices and driving it forward and making these characters interact with one another. I mean, of course, I'd be a little disappointed if all this time was quote-unquote wasted and I didn't do anything with it. But at the same time, if I'm doing it here, right now, and I'm enjoying it, is it really a waste of time? Because in today's world, the way things are, everybody needs something to do that'll keep them happy, because the world's getting so sad nowadays. Anyway, let's get back on track, get this a little bit more positive again. What do you say? Anyway, in this video, I'm sure you probably might have noticed, but some parts of it got a little cut out because unfortunately my tablet decided that it wanted to stop recording at random spots. So I'd lose some footage, and I'd check if it was recording, and I'd come back to it and say, oh no, it's not recording. I did this and this and this. I'm not going to go do that again. So I just carried on. I almost didn't make this Speedpaint because I was afraid of that. I didn't want to miss out on a whole lot of footage. So I hope that this is okay. I'll work with a smaller image size in the future to prevent that from happening. I mean, I couldn't even show off that background that I had done for this because it just absolutely would not record at that time. It was a little bit of a struggle, but I hope that this is still fun to watch and that you enjoyed my art here of Miss Inari Okami. And maybe if anyone's interested, I'll draw more art of her, and maybe I'll even share some of the little stories in my mind of her. Bye!